Good day, everybody. By the way, my name is John Michael P. Villena, and for today's video, we're going to talk about the multicultural and international literature. So, let's proceed. Let's start.
Good day everybody. So today I'm going to ask you a questions about my topic, which is the multicultural and international literature. But before that, I'm going to discuss first the summary of my report so that you'll have a grasp of what my report is all about. Multicultural literature is a piece of literature where the main character and story revolves around a person who is one of the major minority groups such as African American, Latino, Native American, Asians, and also women, handicapped individuals, and individuals with different sexual preferences. So it is very important to study this multicultural literature for us to understand the feelings of others, for us to know who they are, where they came from, their origin, and lifestyle. So here is my first question. Why is or are so important to study the multicultural and international literature? According to Su and Hetzel 2000, multicultural literature serves as a powerful tool in enabling students to gain a better understanding of both their own culture and the culture of others. So it is very important to study the culture of others, not just our own culture, because by this, we can understand them, we can relate to them, and of course, to avoid disrespecting or misunderstanding between different group of people coming from different location and having different beliefs, religions, and so on. And of course, through studying multicultural, we can possess cultural sensitivity. Relationships can be strengthened, bridging the gap between students from diverse cultural backgrounds. So other benefits in studying multicultural and international literature includes a development of vocabulary, stimulating imagination, facilitating empathy, increased knowledge of one's heritage, and fostering positive self-concepts and identity. Also, multicultural literature can teach children more about their cultural heritage, as well as pride for their past. Another benefits from studying multicultural, according to extensive research of Norton in 2009, he discovered that students can relate to global events to the themes, conflicts, and characterizations found in multicultural literature. It helps them understand current world issues. Also, it develops greater cognitive skills as they learn to engage and evaluate what they are reading. So for the second question, what are the benefits in studying multicultural and international literature? So, the said literature also creates a community within the classroom because students learn not only the differences tolerated, they are also embraced. This will help to cut down on the bullying that takes place in the classroom. According to Bulls in 2006, students will be able to work harmoniously in groups. In reading multicultural literature, students can and will become more unified. This unification process happens through students reading books about different races and subcultures.
Hi everyone, this is Makiri Tagalongan, your reporter for today's video. And this topic is entitled Multicultural International Literature. And this is part 2, Historical Overview of Multicultural Literature. Members of many microcultures living in the United States were long ignored as subject for children's books. On the few occasions that representatives of these groups did appear, they did so as crudely stereotyped characters, objects of ridicule, or shadowy secondary characters. Helen Banner mans The Story of Little Black Sambo, 1900, Claire Bishop's The Five Chinese Brothers, 1838, Sarsgaard Bryant's Epaminondas and His Auntie, 1907, and Hugh Lofting's The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle, 1922, come under this subcategory. Today, books such as this either have been rewritten to eliminate the racism or have disappeared from children's library shelves. Although many of the Newbery Medal winners and honor books of the 1920s and 1930s were set in foreign countries. Almost none had to do with multicultural groups in the United States. Laura Adams. Armour's novel about Native Americans, Waterless Mountain, the Newbery Medal winner in 1932, was the only exception. The 1940s offered little improvement, although Florence Cranell Means wrote sympathetic and informative novels such as The Moved Outers, 1945, about American ethnic microcultures during the 1930s and 1940s. Negative stereotypes, such as those of Native Americans as savage projects, medal winners, Daniel Boone by James Doherty, 1939, and the Matchlock Gun by Walter D. Edmonds, 1941, were more prevalent by far. A more sympathetic attitude toward American microcultures, at least in literature, emerged in the 1950s, as evidenced by the positive treatment of multicultural characters in such Newbery Medal winners as Amos Fortune, Free Men by Elizabeth Yaris, 1950, and Now Miguel by Joseph Krumgold, 1953. The civil rights movement on the 1960s focused attention on the social inequities and racial injustices that prevailed in the United States. The spirit of the times resulted in the two landmark publications. The first of these was The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, 1962, the first Caldecott Medal-winning book to have an African-American protagonist. The second publication was a powerful article by Nancy Larick entitled The All-White World of Children's Books. In this article, which appeared in the September 11, 1965 issue of Saturday Review, Larick reported that in nearly all 11S children's books, the African American either was committed entirely or was scarcely mentioned. P63, American Trade Book Publishers, the education system, and the public library system were called upon to fill this void. In 1969, the Coretta Scott King Award was established to recognize distinguished writing in children's books by African American authors. Also, several books with multicultural protagonista or themes were chosen as Newbery winners. In the early 1970s, Sounder by William H. Armstrong won in 1970. Julie of the Wolves by Jean Craighead George won in 1973. And The Slave Dancer by Paula Fox won in 1974, judging from this record. The establishment had accepted multicultural protagonists in award-winning books. But it was not until 1975 that an author of color, Virginia Hamilton, author of M.C. Higgins' The Great, won a Newbery Medal. Types of multicultural literature. Although the last several decades have seen positive changes in the status of multicultural literature in the United States, there is still a marked shortage of books of these, and musicultural and authors and illustrators of children's books are also in short supply. In 1997, for instance, 88 of the approximately 4,500 children's books published in the United States, African American literature. Of all multicultural groups living in the United States, African Americans have produced the largest and most rapidly growing body of children's literature. Every genre is well represented in African literature, but none better than poetry. Because it is so personal, poetry portrays a culture well, as is evidenced in the sensitive yet powerful work of Poeta Armade Adol.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonah Tisarong, BS Ed2 Section 1. This is the continuation of our topic, which is multicultural and international literature. Okay, so let's start the Asian American literature. It is mainly represented in the United States by stories about Chinese and Japanese Americans, possibly because this group have lived in microcultures in this country longer than others such as Vietnamese Americans. Asian artists have brought the sophisticated style and technical artistry of the Orient to U.S. children books of illustrations. The body of Asian American literature is small. Non-fiction, poetry, and fantasy are almost unpresented. There is no specific awards for Asian American literature. Next is Hispanic American literature. Until recently, few Hispanic American children books were published in the story. There is still an insufficient amount of high-quality literature of this kind, but recent development hold promise for improvement in the amount and quality of Hispanic American literature. Hispanic American literature is rich with culture and social commentary. Hispanic library themes echo American literatures and based on life experience. Most relevant examples of Hispanic American literatures are Filita by Nicolasa Moore and Chato's Kitchen by Gary Soto. Okay, let's proceed to Jewish American literature. Two subjects often presented in Jewish American picture books: Jewish holidays and folktales. Jewish folktales collection, particularly those by Isaac Bashevis Singer. And Jewish literary activity is promoted through books awards programs called the National Jewish Book Awards and Association of Jewish Libraries Awards. Next is Native American literatures. It consists of appreciation, celebrations, and protection of nature. Central tenets of Native American cultures are other recurrent themes in this body of literature.